Ugh. I swear to God, dude. My tier list videos are cursed. My tier list videos are so fucking cursed. I literally have problems every time I try to do one. I have technical problems all the time I try to make a tier list video. I swear to God, dude. I swear to fucking God. Okay, let's make sure this is working again.
I swear.
Okay. Every time I make a tier list video, I have problems. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. Uh-oh, it's working. Okay. So basically, we're gonna have to restart. We're not gonna do the 15-minute thing this time, though. Okay, so this will be. I have to repeat some shit now. Just great. If you heard some of it, just sit tight while we repeat some of this information. So basically, it's been a while since we've done this. I believe 6 months, right? And the last time we did this, I was a fucking what, purple? Last time we did this. So yeah, we finally hit red. And once again, we have that problem of the analysis has changed within that time span of me hitting red and facing more reds. Now, of course, red rank isn't as be-all, end-all as it used to be when they changed how the ranking system works and all that fun stuff. But it still means more to me, I guess. But it doesn't really matter. Okay, so 6 months ago, hit 18 characters. Now we got 20. So we got 2 new characters inserted into the tier list. We're still doing the letter-based system kind of stupid thing, where we have C, B, A, and S, where C is the weaker killers, B, you're relying more on your fundamentals than their actual power, because their power is either limited in some form or it just doesn't help very much. B is like, well, their power is helpful, but it can be inconsistent, give you inconsistent rewards in between games, whereas the A tier is when the power starts becoming good, and it can actually, like, win you consistent games. It can be shut down. It's not perfect, but it's fairly consistent. And then the S tier would just be the lethality gods. Not much has changed with that tier. Let's just say that. Okay, so without further dilly-dally, let's go ahead and get into this crappy tier list. And let's try, hopefully the fucking internet won't go out. Of course, like the one time I do this live, the internet goes out. It's really funny. So let's go ahead and start over. Number 20. Number 20. The worst killer in the game is still Clown. It's still Clown, guys. Like, I know he just got his buff, and he's a lot better now because his power is more helpful, but his power is still M1 killer, throw a bottle at somebody, and you down him, and that's it. His power is still like, it just buffs killers' fundamentals. That's all his power really does. When you really think about it, it just kind of makes your movement speed feel faster. Even though you're technically hindering the survivors, it's kind of just a speed boost to you, I guess. They could make it so when he goes into his gas, he becomes faster. That might help. Like, give him 5%. 120 when he's in the gas. See, that might help negate his anti-loots. And it'll also help his map pressure, because you use his bottles to actually travel. I don't know. Just some kind of fast thinking here. But, basically, his power gets really, really, really limited when the survivors start linking tiles against you. And that's something really common with the C tier class of characters. The concept of tile linkage is just something they're not really equipped to deal with. If a good survivor starts linking a jungle gym to a TL to a long wall, short wall, like, that's just something that, like, even Clown, like, even his power, like, even if you hit them and slow them down on their way to a different tile, chances are that they're still going to get to it, and they're going to drop the tile. They're going to drop the pallet early on you anyway. So your power probably isn't going to help you deal with tile linkage very much. The better killers in this game are equipped to deal with tile linkage in some way, shape, or form. they have some form of response to it, whether that be leaving the survivor and coming back late. Like, there's a lot of stuff that every other killer can kind of deal with tile linkage, and Clown just sort of can't. We're gonna go. His add-ons are also a bit kind of lame. He doesn't have a lot of like well designed into his add-ons. He does have this exhaustion one, which is good. This one can cause exhaustion. That's definitely a standout option. And then just anything that the flask of bleach is okay, but like basically if you use the bottles for exhaustion, like a flask of bleach isn't a good combo with solvent jug, because you're like, if you're using solvent jug, you want to use either flask of bleach or solvent jug mostly, and solvent jug is just better because of that. It can negate a dead hard, and the Clown just gets eaten by dead hard. So if you're not running solvent jug, you're gonna have a way harder time actually downing survivors, because dead hard eats Clown for breakfast. Any killer that gets fucked by dead hard pretty bad is obviously gonna find themselves in C tier because of how good dead hard is. Clown would be a lot better if dead hard wasn't in this game. But yeah, his power is nothing. It's not really that special, dude. That's its big issue. It's not really that special of a power. It's just basic M1 killer. Throw a bottle, slow people down. It's not a whole lot to it, dude. Okay. So moving on from Clown, number 20, number 19 would be Legion. Legion's not good, guys. I know, like, Ryuga just put him in B tier, but Legion is not good. Legion's not good, and I'll tell you why he's not good. All his power basically is I get a first hit. That's pretty much all that there is to it. Yeah, it helps him move a little faster, and he gives him some information, which he can do some stuff with. Sometimes he can kind of find out where people are, and that can kind of help him, but realistically, getting a first hit is not that big of a deal, because survivors don't mind being injured. That's why Legion's not very good. And as long as the injured state isn't that big of a deal, he's going to continue to not be very good. And the reason that the injured state isn't that big of a deal is because of dead hard. If survivors aren't running dead hard and they heal a whole bunch, your character's going off. He relies on survivors healing in a lot of situations, because it's just not like he's got a 32-meter terror radius and he's trying to do something similar to Ghostface and Wraith. It doesn't really, like, that kind of stuff doesn't really work on Legion. The whole hit and run thing doesn't really work on Legion because he's got a 32-meter terror radius. It's just not very good on him, dude. So the biggest reason that being injured isn't that big of a deal right now in this game is dead hard, and dead hard just completely shits on him, because like basically his power, the game is balanced around the fact that survivors have 2 hits of tiles, right? Well, if like 3 members have dead hard, you, like, realistically, when you really think about it, you don't have a power. You don't have a power when you really think about it, because this game's balanced around 2 hits, right? Well, if the survivors are good and they're running dead hard, they still basically get 2 hits, and you just can't frenzy them, and your power's not doing you don't have a power. He's just made helpless by the fact that dead hard could exist. Now again, like I said, if they don't have dead hard, being injured's more of a problem. So, but like, those aren't really optimal survivors. Like, if you, well, wow, I just got a fucking 4K with Legion, yeah, they all healed and it was good, I slowed the game down a whole bunch. Like, I mean, good for you, but like, were those really good people? Not to mention, he's got a crippling 4-second cooldown animation when he has to get out of frenzy. That is really bad. 4 seconds when you're coming out of frenzy, just standing still, barely moving, that's terrible. What survivor is not going to be at something within 4 seconds of you stopping frenzy? Unless you're at this really horrible, wretched dead zone at, I don't know, some of the Autohaven maps have big dead zones now, or the corner of Ormond has a dead zone, which, if you're playing at Ormond, you have other problems to worry about. 4-second animation, they're at a tile by now. And then as soon as they start linking shit, you're just absolutely screwed. Feral Frenzy does not help you when an injured survivor is linking tiles against you. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the icing on the cake right there, friends. He has no response to tile linkage when they're linking shit on you. And it used to be really bad. Like, that used to be horrible back when there were 50 jungle gyms and god loops in the game. Like, basically, hitting somebody in the feral frenzy, they could just run straight to a god loop and then you were fucked. You couldn't really respond to them. Which, I mean, that kind of thing is still in the game, just because of, like, they could chain a bunch of shit together. The center structure into a long wall, short wall, into a long wall jungle gym. Like, that stuff can still eat him in the ass. That problem is still not there. And even those add-ons he has that, like, get rid of that, like, they turn it to, like, what, 2 seconds? Like, this fucking dirt add-on here. Like, they don't even need 4 seconds to fuck you. They just need 2. They just need 2 seconds to get to something and you're screwed. Like, if you ask me, every time you hit somebody in Frenzy, that should reduce the amount of cooldown you have to like, down to, like, maybe a half a second. Then you could get somewhere. Make Feral Frenzy actually contribute to getting downs more if you chain a lot of hits together. Or make it do something to that awful cooldown. Feral Frenzy needs more lethality. Don't give it so much lethality to where it was stupid like it was in 2019. 2018. That was 2018. That was 2 years ago. Like, don't make it brainless like it was in 2018, but for God's sake, you need some help. Legion needs a buff. They need to take another look at this guy. He's not really that great. The deep wounds, who cares about being deep wounded? Like, really. Like, most of the time you hit a survivor, they immediately start mending, and all you really did was make them stop moving for about 10 to 12 seconds. It didn't do much, dude. It didn't do much. So the deep wounds are kind of useless. All that his power is really good for is getting first hits and information, which survivors, information's only half the battle, and then if they have dead hard, your power just doesn't really do anything when you really think about it in the grand scheme of the universe. So there you go. That's Legion. He's very easy to play around with once you're good and you have an experienced team. He can beat solo queues pretty bad, but yeah, so can everybody else. That's not really something I give him a point for. Sorry, guys. Okay. That's Legion. Okay, moving on. 2019, 18. We have Bubba. Hecking Bubba, dude. This character, I swear to God. Okay, he's bad, guys. I know that True Talent's working with him right now, and we're trying to, like, break him with Play With Your Food Nemesis and that meta. The Play With Your Food Nemesis kind of thing that we're just kind of experimenting with him right now. But, like, even then, if that gets going, there's a few issues I have with that developing strategy already. Don't get me wrong, it's the best Bubba's got, but like here, like it very well might be good enough to where I actually move him up in the future. But right now, there's still some major problems. There's still some problems I have with it. One, his map presence is still bad. Like that strategy will not make him not gen rushable. You have to work extremely fast in this game, and I feel like that strategy leaves some time on the table. You have to work really fast and just pray to God you have a really good late game with it. That's what it feels like as I watch some games of it. And next, the strategy kind of relies on Nemesis working. Because Play With Your Food doesn't really help Bubba as much as Nemesis does, because Nemesis kind of helps Play With Your Food go off. And Nemesis relies on you being stunned, which the survivors do not have to do. They don't have to stun you. They don't have to do it. There's nobody telling them to stun you. All they have to do is drop the pallet early, and then you can only get stacks off of, like, one person if they choose not to stun you. Like, right now, a lot of the survivors that are seeing True play against, because True's the one front-running the strat, right? All the survivors that he's playing against are playing right into the strategy's hands, but the strategy could be counterplayed. Just don't stun Bubba with a pallet. You should not be aiming for a stun against Leatherface, because it feeds into his win condition. Especially when you see a stun go off, and then you see Nemesis happen. Like, stop trying to stun him when he has Nemesis Play With Your Food. It feeds right into what he's doing. If you make it so that he can only get stacks off of one person, or maybe like one Nemesis, that's only like one down, right? And he's still beatable. I still feel like there's some limitations to Play With Your Food Nemesis. Relying on the survivors doing something I don't feel like is good, and again, it might make him go up to B. It might, but just for right now, I need to see how it looks again in 6 months when people start catching on, and I need to see people start replicating it. As like there's a lot of true strategies get replicated when people start like trying to kind of mimic what he does. If this one starts getting mimicked and Bubba starts getting better results, then it might be worth something. But right now, I'm still gonna leave him where he is. He's better than Legion now, though. I will say that. He's very obviously better than Legion because of that. And instant down is not something to snark at. He can give some hard punishes and have some nice plays, but again, every killer can. His basements, you shouldn't be relying on basement builds, guys. You should never be relying on that type of shit, because it's just not very good. You might get like one guy with it, and anybody that you're realistically getting with it is being overly altruistic. Good teams know to just leave. So you're not gonna be like winning games with the basement build. Even though it's technically the best one in the game for that. Okay. I believe that's pretty much all we have to say about fucking Bubba. Alright. Moving on. 20, 19, 18, 17. We are going to move on to the Shit Slinger. I hate this fucking character, guys. I cannot stand this character. This killer's trash. Alright, I'm gonna be blunt with you guys. This killer's trash. And, like, I know I play on console, which might shape my opinion in some way, shape, or form. Maybe he's easier to control on PC than he is on console. I don't know, guys. What I do know is that he's trash. Like, his power is so limited. You can hit it at, like, maybe one spot on some of these jungle gyms and some of these loops. And then you have to reel him and like pray to God you even get that reel. It's so unreliable, dude. He's not a reliable character by any stretch of the imagination. He's trash. 110 movement speed is not what this character needs. Alright? 110 movement speed, I'm just gonna be blunt, he's not good enough behavior. He's just not good enough. 110 movement speed, he already means you're gonna have bad map pressure. If you have, like, unless your name, like, Spirit doesn't, or Hag has a way to move. I guess Huntress would be his closest comparison when it comes to movements. But even then, Huntress's downing is so much better than his. Huntress's lethality is a lot more consistent, a lot better. She can down you in like 2 seconds, whereas he needs 8 stacks of save the best for last to get anything close to what she can get. Like, Hag can deal with every loop in the game. Spirit's phasing is godlike. Like, he is by far the worst character in the game at 110 movement speed. Pyramid Head, while fucking moving with a Trail of Torment, is better at zoning than his power is. And that's 110. Like, they need to work on 115 into his movements. Like, another reason he needs 115 is that when he's fucking at these weak tiles that should take about 5 seconds, they end up taking like 8 or 9 seconds to deal with. He leaves more time on the table just because he can, if there's like this weak as fuck tile that you can't really use his power at, and you have to burn it, he leaves like 5 more seconds on the table at these weak as fuck loops. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. And then, like, just, you have to pray to God you maybe have one chance to get it while they're trying to link tiles, which might be why people say he's mid-tier, because he can kind of stop tile linkage. But, like, the fact is, oh, you maybe can stop it, maybe you might get one shot if they're at the right area, if there's not too much shit around for them to fucking dodge it. You might be able to do it. That doesn't make up for the crippling weaknesses of having terrible map presence, terrible pressure. Not a good way to stop gens. He's one of the most gen rushable characters in the fucking game. He's very slow. He takes a sweet time doing pretty much anything. Slower movement speed combined with an extra 7 seconds to get it down because he has to reel the guy in, which isn't that big of a deal. But, like, think about how much time you're leaving on the table, okay? Think about this. Huntress just threw a hatchet, okay? Huntress just threw a hatchet, instantly down somebody, okay? She walks over to them. That maybe takes 3 seconds and picks him up. So, go. Huntress took about 3 seconds there to like actually get to him and then hook the guy. This motherfucker shoots out. He has to reel them in for like 7 seconds, okay, and then he has to hit them. Like, and then he applies the deep wound, whereas Huntress can just hatchet M1 down. Like, that's not good. That's not like that. Like Huntress downed you, he applied the deep wound status effect. Big fucking whipty shit, dude. Big fucking whipty shit on that one. Who the hell cares about the deep wound status effect? That's not good. We just went over that with Legion. Deep wounds aren't good. They never are. So you got that working against you, and then he can still be linked on. He like it's just not very good, dude. He's just not good. His gun is clunky to use. It's clunky to aim with. You have to like aim down, and then like it comes out slightly left or something. Like there's so many problems that he has that other killers just don't have, and for him to be 110 on top of all of the issues he already has with his power. Like, that's not good. He needs 115 in his base kit somehow to burn through all those ridiculous tiles that should take him 5 seconds. So I could actually shoot somebody. And then combined with all that extra time you're leaving on the table anyway, that's that extra time you're reeling an asshole in might be the difference between you hooking them and getting to pop goes the weasel a gin. Like, the only times that like I feel in control with this guy are after I tunnel somebody or if they 3-gen themselves. That's not good, dude. That's not good. Like, that's not good for a killer to have at any stretch, any way, shape, or form. That's not good. Shitslinger's trash. This character is filth. He needs buffs. Fix him, please. Okay. Moving on from that atrocity. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. Number 16. Demogorgon. I believe Demogorgon on my last list was like, what, 10 or something? 10? Or I don't know. What, yeah. He's bad, guys. This is another character that's in trouble. He's also, like, in terms of momentum, like, he's one of the characters that's, like, falling in momentum. He's not in a good spot, and like people know it. So when he came out, he was all right when he came out, but people learned how to deal with him really fast because of something that I said earlier. He doesn't really bring anything new to the table. He's got like a lunge, and that's about it. His portals are super awkward and don't really contribute much to the match. Stop roaring, bitch. I'm talking about you. I'm talking shit. His early game is weak. His shred is not very good. The threat of the shred is better than the shred itself. You kind of have to wait till they're vaulting windows to use it, or get some gimmicky I'm all ears play to like kind of seal the deal. It's really cool when it works, but it's such a big commitment, and you get pretty damn punished if you mess up. Like the thing with a reason why shred is bad. Let's go over why shred is bad. Okay. A character with a similar power to Demogorgon's Shred is actually Pyramid Head. Okay? Pyramid Head's Punishment of the Damned. It's kind of similar to Shred. It's a quick attack that shoots out, right? And they kind of cover similar ranges too. It shoots straight out, has a really quick range. Okay? The difference between Demogorgon and Pyramid Head is that Demogorgon when Demogorgon commits to a shred, it quickly moves him from point A to point B. It moves him. Pyramid Heads doesn't exactly move him. He still is at that same spot. So if you're at like kind of a weak loop, it can still be kind of awkward to move against Pyramid Head, and he still has a very good way to like zone you. He still has control of the chase. When Demogorgon misses a shred, he gives up like all the positioning that he had, and like you can use it to close the distance in some situations, but like you can't really zone with shred other than like the threat of it. You have to threaten with shred to actually get people with it, I guess. Like roaring at somebody is just like that's all he has. He has a roar, a shred sometimes, and then a lackluster Freddy Krueger teleportation ability. I guess Demogorgon's proof that teleportation doesn't really save you. he doesn't really save. The teleportation doesn't really save you. It doesn't make you a good character. He is pretty good with save the best for last. He's got a very good mechanic to save stacks on save the best for last. Better than anybody else in the game, but like he's still lackluster in general. Like he doesn't really like. He's not as lethal as he should be. He is not as lethal as he needs to be. His power is very, very basic, very easy to avoid, and he gives up a lot of positioning and momentum when he does have it. He gets very, it's very easy for him to lose track of Survivor upon missing a shred, which is extremely bad. Whereas if you miss a Pyramid Head, Punishment of the Damned, you're not punished as much. Huge commitment combined with not very worth it results. You don't really like. There's no reason you should be going for a huge shred with lots of commitment other than it looks cool. Very rarely would you get them a shred when you could have just M1 them and gotten a consistent down. Shred is high risk, low reward. His portals aren't good. They're clunky to use, clunky to set up. And they don't really like add as much map pressure as you think that they would. On paper, I think Behavior thought that the portals were going to give him way more of a map presence than he had on paper. The undetectable thing is useless when you get out of a portal. That's trash. The Killer Instinct thing is also useless. It doesn't track as far as it should. There's just not a lot good about him. And the stuff that's decent on him, like, it needs buffed. Or the stuff that has potential on him, I guess, needs buffed for it to actually do something. He's just... He's just total Very average, not a lot special about him. Well, where you compare it to the other killers, there's just a lot more that they have. They bring a lot more to the table, I guess. I guess that's the proper way of saying it. So, I think Demo needs some buffs. I don't think he's in a great spot right now. I think he's very easily jukeable, very gen rushable before he can really get started, which is a problem. Which is a problem. And I hope to see some of his flaws addressed soon by the devs. He's actually one of my most requested characters to buff in the game. I think he needs to be relooked at. His add-ons definitely need to be looked at. His add-ons are terrible. Going into some of his add-ons, his best add-ons are common. All of this shit here literally does nothing and is trash. Like, they need to go through and fucking give him some add-on changes. He is not good in the add-on department. Like, his common add-ons are his best ones. It's very, very sad and very unfortunate. I really wish they would just fucking rework his entire family of add-ons and just make them do something different. Particularly something to do with Shred. That would definitely be of a major assistance. Okay. So done with... Moving on from Demogorgon. 20... Oh, we're in B tier now. I forgot to say that. Demogorgon is the start of our B tier. Our C tier is done. Our last C tier character was Deathslinger. So the C tier is Clown, Legion, Leatherface, Deathslinger. We're starting with the B tier with Demogorgon. At 2019, 18, 17. Number 16 would be Demogorgon. Okay. Number 15, I have Pig. Pig at number 15. Pig is very interesting in the way that when she gets you the best possible results, she's actually an A tier. Her power is actually that good. When her reverse bear traps do their job, and everybody takes 3 or 4 3 or 4 boxes, or even 4 to 5 depending on what add-ons you have on. If people take 3 to 4 boxes every single time, that's massive slowdown that you have. The problem is that it's not consistent at all. When you're rating an RNG based character, you have to kind of take something in the middle, and this is it, because when her bear traps don't work, she's the worst character in the game. you kind of have to like, because she's the worst character in the game, but she can also be an A tier. So you gotta have to just go in the middle and say, she's B then. She's probably a B tier, which yeah, it makes the most sense for her. Her ambush is actually fairly decent. If you can, there's a lot of neat tricks and lots of neat plays you can do with it, but it doesn't like work at every loop, and it's also just a free way to encourage the survivor to leave the tile, which is not good. If any survivor sees a pig crouching at a tile, they just go, okay, I basically have, because she's 90% movement speed when she's crouched. That's terrible. That means you're slower than a running survivor. So as soon as you crouch, any good survivor is going to immediately leave the tile and go to a new one, and then like when they're injured, like they have dead hard, so you're like you have no reason to do that anyway. Your ambush is just shut down in a chase because dead hard exists. And if you somehow hit them, or are going to hit them when they're injured, they're just gonna dead hard. And it's like, why did I even do that when I could have just maybe read the dead hard and then down them anyway, instead of the ambush where I chose the ambush, so it's, and they just got the dead hard for free. So it literally makes no sense to ambush in some situations. So that powers out. She can stealth around the map, which is okay, but one of the things that's really good with a stealth character is that at the beginning of the game, when you don't know who the killer is, a Ghostface coming out of nowhere, or a Wraith Bell, or a Myra's tearing up can actually be like, can jump out at you. Whereas Pig, she has the boxes. So it alerts every survivor right out the gate that, hey, there's a pig and she's going to be stealthing around the map. Be careful for it. It already puts survivors on alert. It already gives them information. Now, that can actually just kind of negate the stealth. Now, that might not work every time. It depends on spawn locations and shit, but it's there. But the inconsistent bear traps are the absolute worst thing about her. When you put a bear trap on somebody, they get off the hook, run right to the first box that's 2 meters from the hook, get the trap off. That sucks. Like, you can easily just lose a game because of that. And any character that's mechanic is the reason you're losing will never be a top tier no matter what. And that's something I have to say about another character when we move on. But she will never be a top tier in her current state, just because you can't trust her. You cannot trust her to be a consistent character, which is why some people rank her to be the lowest character in the game. I wouldn't go that far, because when she works, she's a fucking A tier and she's impressive as fuck when she works. But like, you can't trust her to work. You have to like pretend that you need to win without your bear traps. Your bear traps, you should always be assuming that they're never going to give you jack shit. What they need to do is make her more consistent. They need to nerf her A tier game, and then buff her awful tier game, I guess. When you're having a bad game, you need, like, they need to make it so one trap goes to the first box, the second trap goes to the second box you open. Like, it shouldn't be predetermined which key is in which box before the start. They need to like go completely change how her RNG works for her to actually be consistent. The way she is now offers no consistency, and you can't trust her. You can't trust her. That's the. I believe I've been saying this about her since I picked her up. You can't trust her. She's like a mechanic that can be completely negated by RNG. Terrible, just terrible. And she doesn't really bring enough to the table to where that flaw is considered not a major problem. And like if she was if she was Spirit, that wouldn't matter. But she's not Spirit. She needs help from her traps, and if she doesn't get it, she's probably just gonna fucking lose. And even if she doesn't lose, the potential for her to just lose control of the game is extremely high. It's very easy for survivors to come back against Pig if they get good RNG. When like that's just not good. When your killer can just fall apart because of a mechanic you have no control over, that's bad. These are all bad. This is all bad character type stuff, dude. So she will never get out of B tier in her current state. I did move her up. I did move her up a little bit, I believe. No, I don't know. She seems 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. No, I didn't really move her up. But, like, she'll never get out of the B tier in her current state. Just never. She'll never get out of it. It's really sucked. She's kind of trapped here. Okay. Number 14 is her sister character. These two have never been separated on any one of my tier lists, so they've always been one off from each other. The Plague. The Plague got a buff. She got the apple buff, so she is better than Pig now. If I don't remember, like, if Pig or Plague was higher on the tier list before. I think I flipped them. I think I flip them all the time. But Plague's definitely better now because of her apple buff. You will see a Corrupt Purge in your game now. Corrupt Purge add-ons are now worth it. So like so that has let me definitely like expand her add-on kit. That's a bug. There's like the Devotee's Amulet. This add-on is really strong now because you get corrupt. You can put survivors into a bad situation with Corrupt Purge and force them to start cleansing. It'll help feed into itself now. Basically, these Corrupt Purge add-ons now have the potential to feed into themselves, which basically helps her kit out tremendously because they gave her an apple base, which really helps. And like the apples are still decent. They're still decent to run, even though you can see I don't really run them. I might actually maybe in my next game I'll do an Ash and Apple with the Devotee's Amulet and see how that goes. Her Corrupt Purge, you will now see her top 5 self every single game, because Corrupt Purge Plague is top 5. So if you can somehow stay in Corrupt Purge the entire game, you're playing a top 5 character. The issue is that she has some limitations, let's call them. So let's be nice and call them limitations. Breaking somebody, at least on console, I don't know, I see PC players, they do it in like 10 seconds, but on console at least, it's really hard to get somebody broken. Because you don't have the same fluid control over her power as you do on PC, I guess, is the way to put it. Which, yeah, I'm trying not to factor that in. But even then, I still think, like, even then, it's still hard for me to say she's not she's out of B tier. And the biggest reason that I feel like she's still in B tier is because Dead Hard's in the game. Cleansing is still not good for survivors to do. It's just not that great. Granted, like, they can do it and it can actually be bad. Like, it's strange because, like, Dead Hard's still in the game. So, like, survivors still have 2 hits if they have Dead Hard. So, like, them being sick doesn't actually do anything. Gives them no debuffs unless you're running a perk that helps you get a debuff that way. But then, ignoring that fact, let's talk about the fact that when they cleanse, they just healed up. And Corrupt Purge could be at the complete other end of the map from where your objectives are and where you need to be. So if you go out and spend 20 seconds nabbing your Corrupt Purge, you just wasted your time and they popped half a gen on you, which is really, really bad. So, like, cleansing isn't even inherently a bad play, it's just situational. If the survivors pick the right time to do a good cleanse, Plague is the only character in the game where the survivors can literally heal in 1 second no matter what. Which is really bad. And that limitation is something that will always hold her down. Being sick isn't bad, and being healthy isn't necessarily bad either. So there's no state where she has a complete power over you unless she's chasing you with Corrupt Purge. That's about the only time she has massive power over you. But, like, once the snowball gets going and she has, like, 2 downs, then she's hard to stop. But, like, it's just getting there is just so difficult to do, and there's so many situations where there's so many ways that her snowball can go wrong that she's not out of B tier yet. She's still there. She can win a game, and she can look really good, and she can make some insane plays, and she can win in, like, 10 seconds and sometimes. I've seen Otsvara player, he, like, won in, like, 30 seconds with her. It was insane. She can make big plays, but those big plays aren't something you should consistently be seeing. You're not really going to see her big plays every single match. It's just not going to happen. These effectiveness, like, again, I wouldn't really change much for their add-ons. I just feel like her base kit needs one more thing. I don't really know what the thing is yet, but I feel like she needs one more thing. But I feel like she's in a decent spot, certainly better than before her Apple buff. They gave her a nice buff, and I'm glad they at least did that for her. She's fun. She's pretty fun. I like her. I'll always like her. 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. Number 13. I have the Trapper. Trapper at 13. Okay. Reasons I have Trapper at 13. Very slow early game. Very, very, very slow early game. That is really bad. Especially now in this meta game where the survivors really just it's not as bad because they nerfed the gen speeds and fixed some of the god loops, but like his slow early game can just like corrupt intervention is pretty much mandatory running on him if you're actually going to consider playing him. Which again, a lot of characters of these lower echelons of the tier lists, corrupt intervention's pretty much required on them to help them with the early game. Because the early game is really bad, so blocking off those 3 gens would actually be really solid. Now what they should do is just rework corrupt intervention and then make the perk a base mechanic. That would be nice. But besides that point, there are a lot of ways his power can just go wrong. Dead Hard eats him alive. That's something you'll be hearing me say a ton here if you haven't figured that out. Dead Hard completely destroys him. Because they can Dead Hard over a trap, so they can just negate the pressure that you have, and the trap can end up being an obstacle to you. And some like if a Killer Shack, it can force if they Dead Hard over your trap at Killer Shack, the trap is now an obstacle to you, and they get distance off of it. You either have to pick the trap up, which they can see you doing that, and then get distance, or you have to go around, at which they can just go out the window and then blink something else to you. Which is really bad. The trap scattering around the map is still a pain in the ass. He's very add-on dependent. You gotta run a bag. But you gotta run a bag to make him playable. If you don't have a bag, he's not playable. Which is... if you gotta run a bag, dude. There's a lot of things that you have to do on Trapper to make him work, which is a low-tier problem. Like, aka Leatherface. There's a lot of very specific things you have to have in your arsenal for the character to actually work and be playable, which isn't good. His power is actually good though. But like I know I'm saying bad things about him, but blocking those loops off, that's never bad. He has a very decent lethality stat. Very decent lethality stat. Taking away some loops will never be bad. That aspect of his power, if like when he works, taking away the jungle gems, taking away with these kind of these god structures. Like, I go and trap the Groaning Storehouse every time I play there, because, like, it's very good to be able to cut that location off and just make it a dead zone. And kind of make survivors have to focus on that. He's got some good stuff with it. He got some good stuff with his power. It's just, in this current meta, it just sucks that he has to relegate himself to play a specific way, or he just gets fucked. Another thing that's bad about him is the RNG. Trapper has way too much RNG in his kit. Way too much. From the trap scattering them around the map to how many times it could take to for a survivor to break out. Like, you don't know what a good play is with him. If somebody gets trapped like across the map, you could try to go over to him, they break out and then slam a pallet in your face, and it's like, wow, I just wasted my time. I just wasted my time when I could have just been chasing the other guy I was just chasing. It's just like you don't really know what decisions to make sometimes, and sometimes a wrong decision can severely punish you. Or like maybe you should have went for a guy and you didn't, and then you lost out on a down, and a pop goes the weasel, and then a gen just popped on you because of it. And Trapper's late game gens are precious to him because of how much the early ones are gonna fly. Since the early generators are going to fly, those late game gens are precious to you. So if you make even one bad decision that costs you a gen because of an RNG mechanic, that's going to hold your character back. And it's not even, like, you might not even have done something wrong. It was just like, you don't know what to do with the RNG. You have no idea. It's just complete luck about that aspect of the character. So it's just kind of ridiculous sometimes of the decisions you might have to make and you find yourself come across. And you can't even use experience to negate that aspect of the character. Experience doesn't help you. It's just a guessing game of what kind of shitty luck you're gonna get today. Hopefully you'll have good luck, maybe you won't. And then it's just, well, I didn't get good luck and the guy got out and now I'm looping with him again because my trap didn't work, my power didn't work. They need to give him a family of add-ons that makes it harder to break out of traps, which I think he does have one, but like make it a whole family. He needs a family of add-ons that do that, so you can work that consistency into his kit and then make the bag base. His add-ons, I think this is something I said about him in another analysis I did. He has a lot of holes, and filling those holes with add-ons just opens up a different hole on him. I just wish he could have all of his holes covered with one setup. That would be nice. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay. I think that's pretty much all I gotta say about Trapper. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. Number 12, we got Michael Myers. And before I talk about Myers, I am going to get a refill on my drink. BRB, nerds. Woo! Michael Myers. Crack this son of a bitch open. Okay. Let's go over Myers. Myers has some issues. Myers is another character I think needs to be buffed. Myers' biggest problem is tier 1. It's not even that he's like he has it's not even the chaining tiles against him thing, because I feel like there's a lot of ways he can respond to that, and he has a lot of ways he can deal with it. Being his low terror radius, dead rabbit, he can kind of play like Ghostface, where he can just kind of sneak up on you, and that's how he kind of deals with Lincoln. So we're not really committing to a lot of chases. He's not supposed to commit to chases. He's supposed to kind of play stealthy, get his stalk, and then only really commit to chases when he's in tier 3, where they can instant down you, so you're basically injured anyway. And he has an extended lunge, extended big bonus vault speed. He's not supposed to commit to chases, so like the fact that he gets Shrek'd in long chases, that you really can't really hold that over him, because that's not what he's really supposed to do. But the main issue with Myers is that tier 1 takes 20 fucking years to get out of, and it's a piece of crap. 105 movement speed? Well, why don't you just stick something up my ass too while you're at it? Would you fucking give me that ridiculous movement speed? Tier 1, there's no way to utilize tier 1 as a resource right now. There's no way to do it. If tier 1 was 110, it could be utilized as a resource. But right now, there's just no way to use it in the dedicated servers. If I'm buffing Myers, I give tier 1 110 movement speed, at least for like the first few minutes of the game, because like you don't want to make tier 1 optimal. You never want to make tier 1 optimal. You never want to make it so we can chase in tier 1, and that's a legit thing he can do. But giving him 110 for like maybe the first minute and a half of the game while you're trying to get out of it, that would at least help him like maybe get some pressure started, get some heat, get some injures, and maybe just like give him a minute and a half of tier 1 or 2 minutes. Well, I mean not even 2 minutes, just like a minute and a half. I think would be just 110 movement speed for tier 1. Just let him use it again as a resource until like good survivors know how to keep you in tier 1 for a very long time. Spine Chill ruins his day. It's just It's a hard knock life, dude. It's a hard knock life for Myers if you got Spine Chill. Good survivors can really trap you in tier 1 and make sure you get out of it with like one gen's already done, and then another one's halfway done. Which like that's really fast. And if you're trapped in tier 1 that entire time, chances are you don't have a lot of pressure on the board. And by the time you're in tier 2, you'll pop tier 3 when there's 2 gens left, and then the game's already over. So it's like you already lost. Tier 1 is such a problem, and it ruins the whole character. He's got some good stuff because he can kind of play Ghostface or Oni. He can kind of play a mini version of those 2 characters. He can be a mini Ghostface or a mini Oni in a lot of like both those characters are good. So like he's not trash, but like. The fact that he just can't play the game until he tiers out of tier 1 is extremely bad. Nobody at the red ranks is getting gen grabbed by tier 1 Myers, especially in the new dedicated servers. That's just not gonna happen. You can't really expect to do that anymore. That doesn't really work. The concept of power creep has really came and bitten this character in the ass. Oni is better than him at the infectious fright thing, and Ghostface is better than him at the stealth thing. The only thing that really sets him apart is Scratch Mirror, because at least like Ghostface gives up the terror radius and you can still kind of get information. Scratch Mirror is the most unique thing he has, which I don't want them to center anything around Scratch Mirror. You just gotta kind of make the first minute just like better for him. That way he can get out of tier 1 and his plays can be more consistent, and then he can like play to his strengths more with tier 3 and like tearing up and kind of just like being a general menace, because like the fact that he has the collective stock pool. Also, get rid of the fact that people can not be stalked after a certain amount. That's such an old, outdated concept. Get rid of that. Just make stalk go up all the time, like Ghostface. Ghostface doesn't have a limit. He shouldn't have a limit. There's no reason for that. He does have some powerful add-ons though, with the Moris, which is why he's here. I have a very decent spot, and you could even debatably even move him up more because of those add-ons. The Tombstone here, this add-on, the Tombstone piece. This is the really good one. This is the really good one right here. This add-on's really good. But like he's got some really good add-ons that keep him high and keep him good, and he can win games against some good teams. But he's also balanced. He's also like balanced in the way that it can, but like not really balanced. I still think he's on the lower portion of the game just because of how bad tier 1 is. If you made tier 1 better, you can nerf some of these add-ons. You can nerf the Tombstone piece, or you can keep these the way they are. These things aren't very good. The Tombstone piece is good because it doesn't reduce your movement speed like this one does. Moderately decreases movement speed. Yeah, bad. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I gotta say about Myers. Just tier 1 sucks. He's never gonna get out of B tier as long as tier 1 is the way that it is, especially with these dedicated servers. You're never gonna get out of B tier with that tier 1. Good survivors will ruin your day in tier 1. But like, yeah, he may be a wannabe Oni and a wannabe Ghostface, but Oni and Ghostface are good. So that's not a bad thing to be. Moving on from Myers. 20. Woo! Gotta count, I gotta figure out where we are. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Number 11, I have the Wraith. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you think Ghostface is good, you can't say the Wraith is bad. Alright? Like, I guess, like, if you think, like, I don't get people that say, oh, the Wraith's trash, but Ghostface is good. Ghostface and Wraith are basically the same character. There's a few differences, and the fact that the Wraith has to uncloak will always make him below Ghostface. Because there's just, like, a Wraith will get dead-hearted in situations that Ghostface wouldn't. Windstorm's good, he can cover more ground. He's got some good stuff about him, though. Like, there's something, like, there's stuff that, like, Windstorm, the Bone Clapper can confuse people. And obviously the horn one. Obviously the Clapper can make him completely silent. The Windstorms are good. The All-Seeing Blood add-on is good. This one right here, this is insane right here. This is a very good add-on. It can just render stealth builds on survivors completely useless. There's a lot that this character can do. And, like, when you combine that with, like, a top-tier way of playing the game that Ghostface has and that Ghostface is, you cannot say this character is dog shit. This character is good. Alright, and I think True Talent definitely proved that. Even if you don't want to say he's not top tier, I don't know if I'd say he's top tier. I think he definitely has some limitations that make him not top tier. Basically, the fact that he's very add-on dependent. Like, you have to be running a very specific combination. He's not very flexible with what he can do, but he doesn't really need to be. He's very strong by stealing the way Ghostface plays. Of hit and run, nurses calling Sloppy Butcher. Pretty much. Maybe Thana too, just to slow the healing down even more. Just keep them injured, come get them, and just fucking cut off the roots. He has a very good presence around the map. But you might not know where he is. Spine Chill, again, he gets eaten by Spine Chill. Like, Spine Chill and Dead Hard really kind of ruin his day. Like, when he can't really chase people. Like, Ghostface can kind of hide his red stain, so Ghostface has a bit more utility in the chase, and then the crouch mind games that he doesn't really have. So, like, Ghostface has more over him, but, like, you would be very, like, you would be very foolish to say that the Wraith is trash if you think Ghostface is good. The Wraith definitely has stuff that makes him a mid-tier. He's a very, very solid mid-tier, and actually the top of B-tier on my list. He's a very good character. He does get wrecked by certain setups. He's gen rushable. He can kind of hard for him to get it down, and the fact that you can't chase with them is like Ghostface can actually go for chases. The Wraith can't. The Wraith is very simple, and like Ghostface can mark people and save them for later. Like Ghostface, there's more that he can do, but by stealing what Ghostface does, the Wraith has turned himself into a very good character. And that's very impressive because, like, the Wraith was, like, trash when I started playing. He was trash for a long time. And so the fact that, like, he's now become something decent and actually risen above, like, half the roster, that's impressive. That shows that the character stood the test of time, and he's only gotten better over the years. So, like, I think he's in a very good spot. I don't really think he needs any changes. I think he's solid. 13, 12, 11. Top 10! We are out of the B tier, and we are officially at the A tier. Only took an hour. So this should be about 2 more hours. This should be about a 2-hour stream is what I'm getting here. Because we're about done with half the roster. We did half the roster. We did 10 characters in an hour. We are at top 10. Alright. We are officially in the A tier. These characters, this is where I officially start saying that we're out of mid tier and we're in high tier. These are the characters that are really starting to become a lot better. So, number 10, we have the new boy, Pyramid Head. Okay, so Pyramid Head has a strong anti-loot power, and the cage is the counter decisive strike. He is a very frustrating killer to play against for survivors because of the fact that he counters the top tier shit. He counters decisive strike. He counters borrow time. Okay, but so let's talk about what he's good at. The torment, the killer instinct, all this is good. He has a very solid anti-loot power, and he's got very good synergy with I'm all ears to like knock you down through the walls. And like you can actually like maybe condition the survivors to think you might not be running it, and then you can get it. Like there's a lot of things this character can do with the perks on the roster. He's still very good with the other shit like barbecue, like pop and barbecue, because you really want to be hooking with them as much as you can when you really look at it. So, because if you want to save your cages to counter decisive strike and borrow time, you want to be hooking most of the time, right? So just run the M1 meta build. Just run the meta. It's good on him. So he has good synergy. He's got good synergy. I still think he's a bit weak in the early game. He's got some decent add-ons. Nothing too fancy. And like purple and iridescence are very unimpressive. But just like his power, like he's just good. He's just all around good. There's nothing about him that's really bad. Okay, but like but let's not be fooled here. This character is not the best character in the game. A lot of people are saying broke and top tier. He's actually very balanced. He's actually very balanced, okay? Let's go over why he's actually balanced, okay? So we're going to be kind of shitting on him for a second, but that's only because I want people to understand why he's not busted. So we're kind of going to be taking a giant shit on him. But you probably already know what's good about him at this point, so there's really no need to go into that. His punishment of the damned is extremely easy to dodge. It's extremely easy to dodge. There's like a full half-second delay before it even comes out. It's very, very easy to see where it's gonna go. So you again, like the hitbox is awkward because behavior sucks and servers and all that shit. But it's very overall not hard to dodge. There are harder things to dodge in the game. It's like fucking Feral Frenzy's probably harder to dodge than Pyramid Head's power when you really look at it. What he's good at though is zoning. He's like it's very good for zoning. Like he can catch you in the open and like he's very good at forcing you to go specific directions, which can lead him to get a lot of basic attack hits. And his power is good for downing, it is. But like it's the basic attacks are where you're gonna be getting most of your hits from is him when you play him, because of the fact his zoning is so good. When you put down a trail, it can just force the survivor to leave the tile and possibly go in a direction they don't really want to be going, which is extremely, extremely good. It gives you a lot of control over the chase because you want the survivors don't want to get tormented. The fact that they have a status effect that they have to worry about, it. Unless there's no DS, then they don't really have to worry about it. But then tunneling's just an option, which tunneling's an option with him anyway. But let's not forget this: tunneling's not the meta in this game. If you tunnel, there's a lot of map pressure you give up. But everybody just forget that, and it's still possible to DS him if you go into a locker. It's still possible to get DS as Pyramid Head. You can just go into a locker to DS him. It's not impossible. It's difficult because usually if you're tormented off the hook, he's gonna be up your fucking ass. But like, it's not impossible to decisive strike Pyramid Head. It's not impossible. It's hard, and I've never been DS'd as Pyramid Head because I'm good at the game, but it's still possible to DS him. And then getting tormented. Tormenting good survivors is actually difficult. Survivors that really know how to link their tiles, it can be difficult to torment them. Now, Pyramid Head can actually respond to tile linkage via his power. Like, his power is really good at, like, if you know where they're going to go and know what window they're going to go to, it's really good for that. And sometimes that window is the only option they have. So, you can pretty much know that they're going to go there. And like he is like kind of the first one on the roster so far that can kind of challenge tile linkage via his power, whereas like the Myers and Wraith, they kind of deal with tile linkage by just kind of not dealing with it, like downing survivors in a way like when they're outflanked or healing or something, just kind of not doing it. Trapper can kind of deal with it through putting his traps. But like, again, that's not really dealing with it in the chase. Pyramid Head can actually deal with it by chasing and using his power that way. Like, it's like his trapper, if his trap isn't there, he can't deal with tile linkage, and he's just M1 killer. Pyramid Head will always be able to like throw out a punishment of the damned, have some response to linking the tiles together, which Trapper just might not have in other situations. I don't know, who else are we talking about? Play can deal with it if she's got corruption, but Pig can't, but I digress. So like, and he can, so pretty much being able to put out a trail, Survivors, they would rather get down than get tormented. I think that's like speaks to how important torment is to his kit. It's a better play to take it down than it is to be tormented. Being tormented is definitely not where you want to be as a survivor. It's really, really bad. So he definitely has that working in his favor. Just forcing them this way, forcing them that way. He's very good at controlling the chase. And that's something that a lot of killers in this game aren't good at. That's why he's definitely one of the better killers in the game. A lot of key because he's good at controlling the chase. But the reason that he's good at controlling the chase is because he can tunnel you if you don't let him do it. But tunneling's not good. It's still gen rushable. If he's tunneling, he gives up map presence. That's why tunneling is never good in this game. He gives up map presence, and you can still gen rush him pretty bad if he's trying to tunnel somebody, especially if the person he's tunneling is running him around for a little bit. He can still lose matches by trying to tunnel. His tunneling should be his backup plan versus his main plan. A pyramid head that's main plan is to tunnel you is going to lose more games than a pyramid head whose tunneling is the backup plan. He does have a final judgment, which is good. That saves some time. But if you final judgment in cage, you do give up the synergy with the Pop Goes the Weasel and barbecue. So you can't really, if you're caging, you don't get to pop something and you don't get to use barbecue. So you can't really expand your momentum. Caging is a backup plan. It's a backup plan. Can't stress that enough. If you're playing him with the main intent of tunneling, you're definitely playing him wrong. But the fact that he does counter DS, and the fact that he does counter borrowed time, the fact that he can kill you extremely fast, the fact that he has an answer to most of the loops in the game means he is a high tier character. And I hope they leave him the way he is, because he's actually balanced. Number 9. The Hag. Hag's a good character, guys. I don't know how this is still a discussion. She just doesn't chase the way that most killers do. She's just different. That doesn't make her bad. It just makes her different. She is very good at saving time, unlike Trapper. She's better than Trapper because she well, the main reason she's better than Trapper is that her traps are all with her. She doesn't have to waste time collecting them, and they don't have a dead hard weakness. They don't have an RNG weakness. Every problem that Trapper has is just negated by Hag at the cost of 5% movement speed. Her 5% movement speed. At the cost of 5% movement speed, you too can instantly go up a full tier on the tier list. There's really no reason to play Trapper, actually. When you really think about what Hag is, there's really no reason to ever play Trapper, which is sad. They just buffed the crap out of Trapper and turned it into a new character. Her traps have a wider range. She can use them to move across pretty much like what is it, like 50 meters across the map. That's really good. She has some crazy batshit insane add-ons where she can choose which trap to teleport to. You might not even know you triggered a trap. Like, there's so much crap she can actually do that makes her a really big threat. She has so much map pressure. She has some of the best map pressure in the fucking game. When she gets going, she's really, 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 really hard to stop. Like, good Hag players are an art form, I swear to God, dude. You watch good Hag play, it's very impressive, and she can make survivors look extremely bad. She has an answer to every tile in the game. Every tile has a Hag weak spot, where a portion of the tile where a Hag trap can be placed that will result in a hit on the survivor. Like, for example, a long wall, short wall with the pallet down is usually unmind gameable. Hag can put a trap near the top end of the long wall to get a hit on the survivor if they go up there, because then she can teleport to it and actually hit the survivor before they vault the pallet. She has answers to all of these tiles. She doesn't have to just kick a tile. She does not have to break a pallet when other killers would. Now, she's difficult. She requires a lot of thinking. You have to know just the right balance between incredibly smart thinking and then just putting traps everywhere randomly. There's a balance you have to do. You have to have some smart traps and then some random traps, because your smart traps will make the survivors think about where you're putting them. It's like, oh, you wouldn't put one here, and then you put one there because that was one of your random traps. There's a lot of thinking you have to do when you play her about what you want to be doing. You really don't want to be chasing with her, but you also need to slow the game down because she does leave some gens. She does leave some gens on the table, kind of like how Trapper does. So again, corrupt intervention is pretty much a necessity on her. Even that 80 seconds, dude. That 80 seconds can go a long way to like helping you win the game. That 80 seconds can seriously go a long way. So can a lot of this, like an additional 3 seconds, an additional 3 seconds on your teleportation. That lets you move what, 12 meters? So you get to help yourself get into range. The hook, the ability for her to put a trap near the hook and like be able to like guard a lot of things around the map at the same time is actually it's actually very impressive. She has such good objective control on survivors that other killers just don't have. They're she can control things and protect things way better than a lot of other killers, which I guess makes sense because she's like the Hex Queen. She's the character the Hex perks were pretty much made for. But there's a lot she can do, dude. She's very lethal in the right hands. She has lots of good movement and map pressure in the right hands. There's not really a bad thing about her other than flashlights. She's hard countered by flashlights, and that's why she'll never be top 5. Because flashlights hard counter. I think she was top 5 until like a lot of these newer options came in. But like, I mean, she's still great. But the fact that those flashlights hard counter and flashlights are a really good item means that good teams with like one flashlight, the flashlight guy will be a bane in your existence. And you don't really want a power like that can just be shut down by an item like that, which is our biggest problem. She'll never be top 5 because of that flashlight weakness. I wish she had an add-on that made her traps immune to flashlights. That would be sick. So it doesn't... like, seriously, why can't she have an add-on? Like, get rid of disfigured ears, stupid deafening effect, and give it flashlight immunity. That way, when I'm playing as Hag and the Sweat Squad comes in with 4 flashlights, I don't have to change characters. Because I know I'm going to have a bad day with the flashlights. Flashlight people are just immune to a lot of her shit, and that's just that amount of that being hard countered is just not good. That's just not good. That's not something you want to have to deal with. But still, very good character. Very good character. Don't let anybody tell you she's not. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Where are we at? Number 8. Number 8, I have Huntress. Huntress is odd for a lot of reasons. Of course, she has the old classic 1-2 down, and like, I think everybody knows what's good about Huntress already, right? We all know that she's good at the 1-2 down. She's good at she has a lot of good pressure by just being able to like hit you in a position where a lot of other killers just, well, every other killer just straight up can't. She has the biggest range of attack in the entire game because of her hatchets, and that's really good. We all pretty much know that at this point. She can even use her big weakness of a lullaby to her advantage, because a lot of survivors just don't respect the lullaby because they know it's like 40 meters out. That's why lots of good Huntresses want Nurse's Calling on her, because her terror radius is like 24 meters. So Nurse's Calling can like really be abused because they don't actually know where your terror radius is. You'll actually be able to really see them sometimes because of the lullaby. So the lullaby can actually be turned into a strength on her. Her biggest issue is, ironically, the maps. As the maps become easier for other killers, like, think about it this way. Take Hawkins, for example. Hawkins is a very, very, very good map for killer, right? The tiles are there weak, right? Huntress is the need for a hatchet isn't really huge at Hawkins, alright? Because of how weak the tiles are, right? Does everybody agree on that? Okay. As the need for hatchets dwindles, that 5% movement speed becomes a very bad hindrance, because those tiles are weak, but since you don't need your hatchets, you're just kind of M1ing most of the time. You're kind of hitting your basic attack. So that 5% movement speed is actually a big detriment to you. The fact that you lose that movement speed. So as they make the maps easier for killer to deal with, Huntress becomes worse there. If that makes sense. The more loops that they like, again, this doesn't even apply to Hag, because Hag, Hag is good for teleportation. She doesn't really chase in that manner. So Hag can still use her power at those mats. In fact, she's better than a lot of killers at those mats because of how her power works. But how Huntress's power works is that she likes the wide open spaces, but she also likes the fact that those loops are horrible and she needs their power. The fact that her hatchets are so needed at some of those tiles is why she was always one of the best in the game. But now that you don't need your hatchets, like you don't need a power like the hatchets at some of these newer mats because of how the tiles work. So like you can get more mileage out of like a Myers or even dare I say a pig at those newer maps because of just the fact you don't need to have a power. Sacrificing your movement speed for that power isn't worth it at a lot of those newer maps. I think that's our biggest problem. It's just the maps and not being, like, the 5% movement speed not being really worth it. The 5% movement speed and a huge humming radius not being worth the power of the hatchets at those new maps, I guess. And that's why she got kind of moved down the tier list. I think that's why her power is dwindling, just because, I mean, yeah, she's still really good at Rotten Fields, and she's still really good at Wrecker's Yard, and she's still really good at, Thompson House, and like, or a lot of, or Suffocation Pit, or like she's still really good there, but like at the Silent Hill map or Gideon Meat, maybe Gideon Meat Plant, so the Silent Hill map or even Shitslinger's map, like you don't really need the hatchets. I mean, I guess at Shitslinger's map they might be useful, but I'm mostly talking about those newer maps with shitty pussy loops. That's the kind of crap I'm talking about. And she does have iridescent head though, which probably needs nerf. I've never ran this and I never will. Except broken add-on, dude. I don't even think I have an infantry belt to go with it. That's pretty funny. So there you go. That's pretty much Huntress. Just stay off those kind of those newer maps, and as they continue to make maps easier for killer to deal with, the less necessary powers like Huntress has become. But she's still good, she's still great, definitely one of the best in the game, definitely a worthy main. Number 7, Doctor. Is Doctor one of the best killers in this game? Yes. Oh, absolutely. Last time we did a tier list, Doctor was low tier. Yeah, he got a big buff. He got a big rework. And then Static Blast, being able to see the survivors, get tons of information. The shock therapy, the constant 115. Dude, they fucking really did. They did this character so good. They really did this character so good. They went and gave him one of the biggest buffs in the game's history, dude. One of the biggest buffs in the game's history. He's very, very impressive now. He can shut down a ton of loops with his add-ons are so good. This fucking the Discipline class of add-ons, oh, they're crazy. Discipline, Restraint, Order, Calm. But like he has so many choices, and like in his 2 iridescents, the King and Queen, they're really good. There's so many things he can do, dude. He gets lots of information, and there's nothing bad about him anymore. He's not clunky to play. All of his add-ons do something now. He's a lot easier to understand. There's nothing bad about him anymore. Tier 3 Madness works now. It's very consistent now because of Static Blast and making its shock therapy easier to hit at pallets. Making him much smoother to aim and control. Like, there's nothing wrong with him anymore. So, like, there's nothing holding him back. They basically ripped the chains off of him and let him fucking cut loose. He's a very good save the best for last user now. Just boom, boom. It's like you hit him with like, think about this. You hit him with, like, so you have 6 stacks, you have a very fast cooldown, then you have a Discipline add-on here to reduce the detonation delay. You can really catch people at some of these windows. Like that fucking cooldown reduction from Save the Best for Last could easily lead into a detonation delay from your discipline add-on into a down that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Doctor has so much stuff he can do in the chase. He's very lethal now. He's very, very lethal now. And he's very consistent across all the maps in the game. There's no map he's bad at. Doctor does not have a bad map anymore. Whereas before it could be kind of limited when there was a lot of jungle gyms. Now he's really good at busting through those pallets extremely fast, because he can force them to get dropped, and those illusionary doctors are brutal. Like, there's nothing bad about him anymore, dude. They've really sped up his kit. They sped up his kit and gave him a lot of buffs to compensate. They didn't take anything from him. They got rid of that shitty static field and just made something with it. Like, he's insanely good now. If you would have told me 1 year ago that at this year's time Doctor would be better than Huntress and Hag, I would not have believed you. But here we are, dude. It's 2020. What a time to be alive. Doctor's better than Hag and Huntress. Yeah, he's insanely good, though. Survivors hate him for a reason. Well, I guess they've always hated him, but, like, especially now, they hate him for a reason. He's good. He has a response to a lot of the tiles. He can kind of do the same thing that Hag does, where he goes up to the top of the long wall and then forces you down with his shock there. Like, he has a lot of responses to some of these tiles, which is very nice. He has a lot of add-on combinations that he could do. Like, they took the drawbacks off of the stimulus electrodes off of them, so he can actually run this crap again. He's a very good character, dude. He's very good. He's another worthy main, and he's also easy. So like, he doesn't require a lot of time to actually start playing him effectively. So if you just grind him out for like 2 hours, you'll have him down. He's not hard anymore, whereas before he was hard. He's not hard anymore, bro. All right, moving. Let's keep on trucking. All right. Number 6, I have Ghostface. We kind of went over a lot of the stuff when we went over Wraith, but Ghostface, he's so good at moving around the map. Yeah, he's so good at making SWF miscommunicate. He's very good at making survivors make mistakes and make the wrong plays. That's why he's really good. He doesn't have to be good in the chase. I saw somebody say, well, he's bad in the chase. He doesn't have to be good in the chase. You're not supposed to really chase people with them. You're supposed to hit and run. Hit and run, catch them when they're healing, catch them outflanked with your lack of terror radius. And then you don't have to uncloak, so you can just run up and whack them. He's very good at, like, they have to do the generators. He's very good at the, because survivors have to sit and do something for 80 seconds. He can just come out, hide until he's too close to be dealt with, and then he fucking whacks you, and then you're dead. He's also, like, the difference between him and the Wraith is that Wraith can just get dead-hearted sometimes because of his bell, and you can really see him coming. Ghostface, you can just avoid dead-hearts by just running up and whacking people. You might not even see him until you're down. You might not even see him until you're down. And then again, he's still decent in the chase. He's got some shit. If you run Chewed Pen and Olsen's address book together, you get your power back really fast. So when you're ready to commit to somebody, you can just bring your power back, hide your red glow, and then you don't even have to kind of mind game them. You can just really commit to things, and it'll really throw survivors off. And then additionally, you can crouch, still make people, like, when you have a red glow, you can crouch, hide your face. There's a lot of things you can actually do in the chase with him when you have to chase people. And then there's the marking, which is situational. He has some situational instant downs he can kind of get if you really want to. I mean, that's the least relevant part of this kit, but he can do them. He can mark somebody's, like, mark a survivor, get them 99, save them for later, basically injured. And, like, since players are basically not really expecting Ghostface to mark them anymore, like, they're not really even trying to break you out of your power. because they know because like a lot of ghost faces use Night Shroud to distract you from like the actual chase. So if you just 99 stalk them, save them for later, you can really catch people off guard with actually stalking them and instant downing them. He's got a lot of versatility and how he can kind of be played. I mean, not really. I mean, he is versatile, but for the most part, you just kind of want to be moving and whacking people. He's very solid, dude. He's very, very solid. Just running around the map and just basically causing miscommunication, causing chaos, causing survivors to like not be able to think clearly. And they're too focused on him to even be worried about their teammates or gens. It's just very nice. It's very nice. He just doesn't give them a lot of information to work with. He has a lot of information, and survivors have limited information. I think that's the name of the game right there, dude. That's kind of the name of the game. Though you don't have to chase people when you catch them healing or catch them doing gens, because he doesn't have a 32-meter terror radius like Legion does. Legion basically always has to let survivors get open in the open or get set up. Ghostface doesn't really have to worry about that. That's why he's so good. Good map pressure, effective downing, very lethal. There's not really a lot bad about him. Very hard to gen rush him when you know who he is, because you'll always be looking, and he always gets more movement on you just because of how his power works. There's a lot of things about him that make him hard to actually gen rush, and he's very good at stopping. He's very good at stopping the gen rush. There's a lot of good things about him. I think he was like 4 on my last tier list, but whatever. So I think my last tier list was like before Freddy buff. I don't remember if it was before Freddy buff. It actually wasn't. It actually wasn't. Okay, anyway, moving on. Oh yeah, I forgot who I moved up. We're at top 5. Number 5 is the Oni. Top 5, the difference between top 5 and the rest of the cast is they really can just win the game off of one play. We'll start with Oni though. Oni's a fucking beast, dude. Is Oni one of the best characters in the game? Yes. Oni's Infectious Fright build can climb with the Demon Dash. Bro, this kid's insane. He can dash around all over the place. Instant down, Infectious Fright, boom, he's on somebody else. Instant down, Infectious Fright, he's on somebody else, boom, and just like that, 3 people are down. And then the game's pretty much over. Like, the kid is crazy good. He has a weak early game, but like, slap on Monitor and Abuse on him, and like, his terror radius music's quiet as fuck. You're basically already there, and then you can hit somebody. But like, he doesn't, like, the other reason that his early game weakness doesn't matter is the fact that he doesn't really care when he starts winning. He's not really trying to do 12 chases to hook people. That's not really what he's trying to do. He's basically trying to just slug people. He's trying to slug everybody, essentially. Just keep getting downs until that shit happens. He doesn't, once Oni's snowball starts, he doesn't ever want us to stop. He's not like a Ghostface who's trying to like, he's not like a Ghostface who's just trying to apply a constant stream of pressure until the game is over. He's trying to just explode. He's trying to just explode off of one play. That's really what he's trying to do. One play to put a... He's trying to use one play to like get the survivors in a extreme state of disadvantage where they can't actually get out of it. That's the idea. There's only one other character in top 5 that doesn't play like this. The goal is to put them in an extreme state of disadvantage. Well, Oni's this idea to the nth degree. Because a lot of the survivors, every other top 5 killer, you can basically play them any way you want. But like, Oni's best when you play him like this. And he can really, he has a lot of answer to all these, he's very good at punishing tile linkage. You can really catch them out with Demon Dash and actually stop them from linking tiles. His power is just insanely good. His power is kind of limited at the jungle gyms, but that's okay. If you just pick the right time to use it, you'll always make sure you get somebody. And then, once you get Infectious Fright, it's like, hey guys, I'm already here. You don't really have time to get to this shit. And then basically, once you start, like, getting rid of shit and more dead zones are created, his late game's insane. His late game is absolutely insane. He's capable of just winning the game at any point, and that's why he's so devastating. He's just so devastating. I think when we came out, like, the community wasn't that impressed with him, but now it's like, I'm so glad he's in the game now, dude. I really did a complete 180 on him. I went from, like, being completely unhappy with him to just, like, he's always one of my favorite killers in the game. He's so fun to watch, dude. He's so fun to watch. He's got some really good add-ons, too. A lot of add-ons that are good for speeding him up and just keeping that flow of your plays going. Like this one right here. To like increase the charge rate of Demon Dash. That's really good because it punishes tile linkage. That's why it's really good. You can punish people trying to link tiles faster than you would otherwise. And then like the amount of blood orbs to speed them up when they're vaulting stuff. Like it's just... He doesn't really have anything bad about them, dude. And his one major weakness of the early game literally doesn't matter because of the reasons I just explained. He literally is a killer with no weaknesses. If the Oni player executes, he will consistently win. And I think that's what's... I think these are the really characters where we're really starting... I think it really started with Ghostface, but like... These are the ones that should always be winning, unless you're playing, of course, SWF, which is always insanely broken. But these top 5 characters can basically destroy any solo queue group. They can basically destroy any solo queue group. Yeah. Oni Smash, dude. Very good map pressure. Very good control. Solid control. He's so fun to control. He's very smooth, too. They did a very good job, like, with his turning and... like letting him like go up the wall. He doesn't really have anything bad about him other than the fact that he's limited at some jungle gyms, which again every killer is, so that's really nothing. It's really not his fault. Okay, number 4, Hillbilly. Basically the difference between Oni and Hillbilly, everyone likes to say that Oni is just a better Billy, or Oni's a worse Billy. I mean, here's why I think Oni is a worse Hillbilly. Hillbilly is capable of doing what Oni does at any single point in the game. Of the concept of going over here, instant downing you, going over here, instant downing you. Like, Hillbilly is capable of doing that at any point in the match. The only compensation is that Oni's power is better, because Oni can go up the walls and he can move better when he's trying to attack you. That's the only that's the only thing that Oni really has over Billy. Billy has a better early game because he could actually chase survivors. You slap on like Corrupt Intervention on Hillbilly, and like how the hell are they supposed to gen rush you? Because you can fly around the map and 3 gens they can't even touch. You're always going to be able to find a survivor extremely fast with Billy, but he doesn't even really need Corrupt Intervention for that reason. But you slap on Infectious Fright on Billy, you can kind of do the same damn thing that Oni and Myers are kind of trying to do. You can just do it at any time during the game. Like I had a Hillbilly today with my girlfriend. We were playing, and we were fucking gen rushing the shit out of him, and then boom, he hit one play and it was over. It was over before you could say sliced bread, because he just he hit one chainsaw, and then he hit another chainsaw, and then he hit another chainsaw, and guess what? 3 people were down, and then he slugged everybody. GG easy. Like, he doesn't, like, his power, he can do everything that Oni's power can do, except he has it the entire game. So Oni's power being slightly better than his is made up for the fact that Billy doesn't have a bad early game. Which again, Oni doesn't really care the fact that he doesn't have a bad early game. Oni doesn't care about the fact that he has a bad early game, but Billy just doesn't have it. So that makes up for the fact that his power is slightly more limited. Because like every place that Oni's power is bad, Billy's power is bad too. But just Billy doesn't have a bad early game. Oni is a little better at punishing tile linkage, but Billy has a better patrol of the early game and can get started a lot faster. Basically, Billy players can really just like control the flow of the entire game. They can decide if they want to slug and go try hard with Infectious Fright at anytime they want, where Oni has to pop up at a very specific time, whereas Billy is a bit more flexible in a strategy, which is basically, again, another reason he's better. Billy's very unpredictable and very adaptive, which is Oni is like, if Oni's getting gen rushed, he can't, like, it's very easy to predict when he's going to be trying to, like, hit his big play, which Billy, he can basically hit his big play with the snap of a finger, which Oni, yeah, he presses a button, but Oni has a big button that he presses and goes, I'm gonna hit my big play now, which Billy doesn't have that. So when you compare the two, Oni is slightly more limited than Hillbilly when you really look at it in that sense. But Billy's a bit more linear, so his power might be a bit harder to hit, but back revving's still insanely good. But yeah, Billy's a time-tested good character. I say this every time that I do these things. He's a time-tested good character. He's been insane since 2016. And the fact that he's still top 5 even after all this time just proves how good he is. Very solid character to main. Again, I never have much to say about him just because of how basic he is, but time-tested, dude. He's insanely good. Top 3. Last character in A tier is Freddy. Freddy is a top 3 character, guys. The reason Freddy has the most kills in the game right now. He has the highest kill rate in the game. It's confirmed dev statistics. He has the highest kill rate in the game, so that's pretty much why he's above Hillbilly. The dream snares are disgusting. Fuck the pallets, dude. Fuck the pallets. The dream snares are good at jungle gyms and can be used to anti-loop Killer Shack. Like the dream snares are anti-loop, the pallets are not. That's basically the difference. I feel like the snares are faster and they're less limited in their usage. Then he has the most efficient movement from gen to gen. There is no killer in this game that is better at connecting their plays than Freddy. Barbecue chili, thrilling tremors, barbecue/thrilling tremors into instant teleport. Hi guys, what's up? I just kicked your gen with pop and just saved a generator that no other killer could have just saved. What's up? And then you give him, I don't know, save the best for last, or Sloppy Butcher to make the healing take even more. And Discordance, he can just, oh, you're fucking trying to hit me with broken gen speeds, let me just teleport over here real fast. He's very good at shutting down what survivors are trying to do. He's very quick. He's very, very quick. And again, when a Freddy gets going, the snowball is hard to stop. He's very hard to stop. It requires a very efficient coordination to actually beat Freddy. Which, I mean, that is the everyone likes to say, oh, SWF wrecks Freddy. Which it does, it wrecks everybody. But, like, the fact that coordination is pretty much required to beat Freddy proves how good he is. Like fuck people saying he's boring. I hate people say that. They go, yeah, Freddy's boring. No, fuck you, dude. He's working. He has the most kills in the game. He's doing something right. Even if he's boring to watch, he's fun to play. I will admit that he's not the most fun character in the game to actually watch get played, but he is fun to play. He is fun to play. He's boring to watch, but fun to play. It's one of those types of things. It's like Jigglypuff in Smash Brothers. Jigglypuff in Smash Brothers. Boring to watch, fun to play. And you know what? I'll take that. Even if he's not flashy or showy, he's effective. And you know what? I'll take effectiveness over flashiness and showiness every day. He is probably the killer I main the most. Oh, I should probably start maining Spirit, as my Spirit's getting very good. But the kill rate doesn't lie, dude. Freddy's good. Then again, he's very basic, so there's not much to say. Just put the snare at the long end of the loop, and then chase him around the other side, and then boom, you pretty much got him. Very good at forcing out those dead hards, get them out of your way, get them downs fast. Very lethal, very good killer, very good for moving. He can really pop gens no other killer can. He's very good with pop, best character in the game at using it. Alright. So that's done with the A tier. So we're gonna head and move on to the top 2 characters. We're getting to the lethality gods now. Number 2. Okay, here we go, lads. Nurse. I don't think Nurse is the best anymore. I don't think Nurse is the best. I think after her nerf and after Omega Blink, like the gap between her and Spirit is like not there anymore. And then you combine that with the fact that she's bugged, bruh. She's bugged. She's having a lot of problems on a lot of maps right now. Like, your blinks can just not teleport you to the place you really want to go. And, like, this is objective. Like, I'm not just saying that because I'm a console player. Like, like a lot of the nurse players, Arditha is expressing a lot of frustration with the bugs. Like, if you want to, like, learn what these bugs are, just go up to, just watch his channel. He has a lot of detailed explanations on what these bugs actually are. The bugs are horrendous with this character. And then the bugs hurt her reliability. The bugs hurt her reliability, and that's a fact. Now again, these are just something, all these complaints are just separating her and Spirit. I will always say that Nurse is the best character on paper, and if they got rid of these bugs, she would be the best. But the fact is that she's very bugged, and she's very bugged right now, and then she also has some bad maps. Giddy and Meat Plant, very easy to screw up your blinks there. It's extremely easy to just go to the top floor and then you miss somebody. Very easy. You can watch True Talent fuck up his blinks at Giddy and Meat Plant. Maps with multiple levels, like the Silent Hill map, I'm worried about her. Like, the maps with multiple floors, very easy to screw your blinks up. You know, granted, theoretically, you could use that to, like, very much confuse survivors, but it's also very easy for you to just screw up there, too. It's very easy to get fucked by just how the character works at a lot of maps. And I think that's important to take into account when you're trying to decide between her and Spirit. She has a very high learning curve for inconsistent results on some maps. That's not better than Spirit. That's not better than Spirit. Not in 2020. In 2019, when she had 8 blinks, yeah, okay, you could fucking do that then. Like, the bugs probably didn't matter. You had enough blinks to, like, readjust yourself. But, like, in 2020, when she's bugged out the ass, no way. She's not better than Spirit. Not anymore. And her add-ons are just ugly. She has a lot of add-ons that are just stupid. Like, what can I ask? What the hell, like, decreased distance of blink lunge attacks? What the fuck is that? Like, what's that supposed to do? Adds 1 blink restricted to not line of sight locations. Okay, what's the point of that? What's the point of that? Now again, I'm just giving her shit because this is deciding between who is the best killer in the game and who isn't. So you have to take in all this stuff into account. Now, is she better than everybody below her? Absolutely. She's miles better. Going through the walls is broken. And it will always be broken. The reason that she's not the best in the game to me anymore is because of the situations where her power doesn't work as it was intended to work. And she gets bugged out and these maps fuck her up. That's the reason I don't think she's the best anymore. I think it's very easy to screw up with her. It's very easy to screw up with her when it shouldn't be. What Spirit offers is a ton of mobility. Like, between the early games between Nurse and Spirit, I mean, this should just be a joint entry, pretty much. Just talk about Nurse and Spirit together. When you talk about Nurse and Spirit, the early game, Spirit can immediately just start charging at almost 200% movement speed, and just immediately just phase right to a gen, and then boom. You don't know exactly which direction she's coming from. Like, she could come, like, it's hard to, like, tell where you're gonna move against her when she's phasing to a gen, because you don't know, like, is she gonna come from the left or my right? All I know is that she's coming because she's phasing. Which way is she going to come from? Which is where you're playing as Nurse. It's very easy to tell which direction she's coming from because she has a directional screech every time she blinks in the early game. And you know what? What are you gonna do? Not blink in the early game and move at 98% movement speed? Hell no. Now again, it doesn't matter, but this doesn't matter against 99% of the roster. But when you're talking about Nurse and Spirit, this is when that stuff starts becoming relevant. Because, like, Nurse, again, Nurse is better than everybody else on the roster. But when you're talking about Nurse and Spirit, with this conversation, the fact that Spirit can cover more ground in the early game means she can start applying her pressure earlier. Which Nurse and Spirit, like, you can play Spirit like Nurse, where you go back and forth and you just down left and right and don't even hook and start slugging. Spirit can do that. Spirit can easily do that. Spirit can easily do that. What Nurse can do, Spirit can do too, just as good. they're about equal, in all honesty. It's very hard to, like, separate them in terms of a tier list position. I think they're almost equal. I just think what Spirit offers is a slight... She offers consistency, slightly more consistency, and not as bad of a learning curve. She's more consistent, and she's easier to play. Why would you not play Spirit over Nurse? There's no reason to play Nurse anymore after the nerf. Like, all you get is a bunch of bugs. And like blinks that don't really go right, and you get just like there's no reason to play her over Spirit anymore. There's a reason to play Nurse over literally every other character, but not over Spirit. And like in my opinion, Spirit is now the best character in the game. Is it slight? Yes, it's very, very slight. And the reason that Spirit is the best are those minor factors of better early game, better movement, and more consistency. Those are the three main reasons why she's slightly better than Nurse right now, in my opinion. But again, those are just about the S tier. Is Nurse better than Freddy? Yes. Is she better than Doctor? Yes. Is she better than everybody else? Yes. She's just not better than Spirit. Not anymore. And with all that out of the way, that is my tier list. So I will go over all of them one more time in order before we get on out of here. And I actually make a new video and start playing this stupid game tonight. So number 20, Clown. 19, Legion. 18, Leatherface. 17, Deathslinger. 16, Demogorgon. 15, Pig. 14, Plague. 13, Trapper. 12, Myers. 11, Wraith. 10, Pyramid Head. 9, Hag. 8, Huntress. 7, Doctor. 6, Ghostface. 5, Oni. 4, Billy. 3, Freddy. 2, Nurse. 1, Spirit. Alright, boys. There's my 2020 summer tier list. We're getting the hell on out of here.